December 30th, 1999. While the rest of the world nervously eyed the ticking clock of the Y2K bug, the city of Lahore, Pakistan, was about to confront a different kind of darkness. It arrived not as a whisper, but as a package. At the offices of the Daily Jang, a major newspaper, editors opened a parcel that would freeze the blood of the nation. Inside was a handwritten diary, a collection of photographs, and a confession that defied belief. Javed Iqbal, a local businessman, claimed to have murdered 100 children. He didn't just confess to the crimes, he provided the evidence. He listed names, ages, and dates. He described with clinical detachment how he had disposed of the bodies in vats of hydrochloric acid. His reason? A vendetta against a system he claimed had failed him. This wasn't just a confession, it was a manifesto of a monster. To understand how a man could kill 100 children without the authorities noticing, we have to look at the Lahore of the late 90s. It was a city of deep shadows. Pakistan was grappling with political instability and a police force that was often underfunded, undertrained, and overstretched. In this environment, the invisible became targets. The boys Iqbal preyed upon were often runaways, orphans, or children from impoverished families who spent their days on the streets to survive. In the eyes of the state, they were ghosts before they were even dead. When they went missing, their families were often turned away by police who dismissed the cases as kids just running away. Javed Iqbal lived at 11 Range Road. To his neighbors, he was a quiet, somewhat eccentric man who kept to himself. But behind those walls lay a meticulously organized factory of death. Iqbal operated in the shadows for over 6 months before his self-exposure. He wasn't hiding from the police, he was mocking them. When investigators finally breached the house after the confession, they found a scene that would haunt them for decades. The air was thick with the acrid scent of chemicals. In the basement, they found 2 massive vats of acid. On the floor sat piles of shoes, tiny, worn-out sandals and sneakers, and a collection of ID cards. Iqbal had kept a ledger of his victims, a trophy room of the lives he had dissolved. The evidence was so overwhelming that the lead investigator reportedly had to step outside to vomit. The most chilling aspect of the Javed Iqbal case wasn't just the body count, it was the surrender. Serial killers usually run. Iqbal waited. After sending his confession, he vanished for a few weeks, sparking one of the largest manhunts in Pakistani history. On February 22, 2000, he simply walked into the offices of the News International. He didn't turn himself into the police. He turned himself into a journalist. He claimed he was afraid the police would kill him before he could tell his story. Iqbal's defense was a psychological puzzle. He admitted to the killings, but he framed them as an act of protest. Years earlier, he had been arrested on charges of sodomy and claimed he was brutally beaten and falsely accused by the Lahore police. He told the media, "I wanted to make 100 mothers cry, just like my mother cried for me." The trial was a media circus. The public was caught between a visceral desire for vengeance and a growing realization of the systemic failures that allowed this to happen. Iqbal was defiant. He frequently retracted and then reconfirmed his confessions, playing a cat-and-mouse game with the judiciary. He painted himself as a victim of a corrupt state, a man who had been pushed into the abyss and decided to take 100 innocents with him. The prosecution, however, presented a different picture, a calculating predator who exploited the social hierarchy of Pakistan to fulfill a sadistic urge. The protest was merely a convenient narrative for a man who had spent months stalking the most vulnerable members of society. The verdict, delivered by Judge Allah Bakhsh Ranjha, was as unprecedented as the crime itself. It was a sentence rooted in the ancient principle of lex talionis, an eye for an eye. The judge decreed, "Javed Iqbal has been found guilty of 100 murders. The sentence is that he shall be strangled to death in front of the parents whose children he killed. His body shall then be cut into 100 pieces and dissolved in acid, just as he did to his victims." Human rights groups were horrified. The international community recoiled at the brutality of the legal system. However, the sentence would never be carried out. In October 2001, just before his appeal could be heard, Javed Iqbal and his accomplice, Sajid Ahmad, were found dead in their cells at the Kotlakpat jail. The official report stated suicide by poison, but the timing was suspicious. Iqbal had threatened to name high-ranking officials and police officers who he claimed were complicit in his network or had ignored his activities in exchange for bribes. Many in Pakistan believe Iqbal was silenced. Dead men tell no tales, and they certainly don't testify about police corruption. The man who had paralyzed Lahore with a diary ended his life, or had it ended for him, in the same silence he had used to hide his crimes for so long. Today, 11 Range Road has been demolished, but the memory of what happened there remains a scar on the soul of the city. It serves as a reminder that the most dangerous monsters aren't the ones hiding in the woods. They are the ones who know exactly how to use the cracks in our society to disappear. Was Javed Iqbal a lone monster or a symptom of a deeper systemic failure? Let us know your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most chilling cold cases.